You know, I never really appreciated how delightfully attractive a ball of yarn could be until now. Meow! If you're wondering what to do last minute for Halloween, may I suggest the cat? It is probably one of the best go-to costumes available for anybody of any age, any gender, and the only thing you really have to do to sell it is to wear a pair of ears and put on a few whiskers, and if you haven't already made a pair of gauntlets, try making a black pair of gauntlets and putting a little paw print on the underside. Super easy and super cute. But today we're just going to focus on this cute little headband. And remember, this is cute all the time in the cool weather. Why not wear a pair of ears when it gets a bit cool out? It also keeps your ears warm. So without further ado, let's move over to the table and meow ourselves up a couple of ears. Meow. Okay, for the cat headband, I'm using my trusty 4.25mm hook, some scissors, a yarn needle, and just some acrylic worsted weight yarn. So here's some nice pink. This is going to be for the inside of the ear, and the bulk of the headband is going to be made in acrylic worsted weight black. And I'm using Red Heart Comfort. It's a slightly more chunky yarn, so it's probably about a size 4 or 5. It's a little thicker, which is perfect for the warmth factor that we are going to work into this simple little headband. So the first thing you're going to want to do is chain a foundation row that fits your head, and by that I mean you create a slip knot and you start chaining until you've reached a number of chains that fits around your head. Now this has got to go around both of your ears, across the back of your head, and meet somewhere in your forehead, just where you'd wear a regular headband. Now for me, that is 75. So I'm going to go ahead and chain 75 stitches, or sorry, 75 chains. And I want you to go ahead and start in that area. I'm a pretty average sized head, so if you're making it for yourself, start around the 75 mark, but remember whatever hook and yarn you use is going to affect the number of stitches you need in order to make it comfortably around your head. And if it's not the same number as me, don't worry, because this is a really easy pattern. It doesn't even include any increasing or decreasing. So the number of chains you start with is going to be the number of stitches you work, and that is all you need to think about. So go ahead and make a chain length and make sure it fits your head. Alright, once you have your length of chain made, I have 75 chains. You may have more, you may have less. You're going to take care not to twist it, and you're going to join the two ends together with a slip stitch. You're going to chain 2, and we are going to half double crochet into each chain all the way around. You are not going to count your chain 2 as a stitch, it's just filler. So all you're going to worry about are the half double crochets, the true half double crochet stitches. You're going to go ahead, half double crochet into each chain all the way around, and the number of half double crochets you should have at the end of this row is the same number of chains that you made in order to create your loop in the first place. So for me, that was 75 chains, therefore I should have 75 half double crochet stitches plus a chain 2 in the end of my row 1. Okay, I've reached the end of my first row. I've counted. I have 75 half double crochets. I'm going to skip over this chain 2. There's the chain 2. I know it's a little hard to see. I'm going to skip over that, and I'm going to join my row with a slip stitch in the top of the first true half double crochet stitch because I'm not counting the chain 2. I'm going to chain 2, and I'm going to repeat this row 1 all the way around for row 2, and I'm going to do 3 or 4 rows of this. Now the reason I say 3 or 4 rows is because you may have a slightly thinner yarn and want to do 4 rows, maybe even 5 rows. You want to make this band as thick as you want in order to keep your little ears warm and cozy. If you use a thicker yarn and a bigger hook, then you're not going to need as many rows. So it's the same pattern from here on out. You chain 2 to begin your row, you half double crochet in each stitch all the way around, you skip that chain 2 when you get back to the end, slip stitch over top of it into the top of the first true half double crochet stitch, and if you want to put another row on, you chain 2 and continue. And that's all you need to do in order to make the base of this cute little ears headband. Okay, I've gotten to the end of how wide I'm going to make my headband, and it's difficult to see, but I actually ended up doing 5 rows of half double crochet all the way around. So all I'm going to do now is snip my yarn and pull it back through that loop just to fasten off. Now this is optional, you don't have to do this, but I'm going to. Across the bottom row, or the foundation row where all your chains, the other half of your chain row is, I'm just going to join my yarn here, and I'm going to just single crochet quickly all the way around it, just because I like the way that finishes off a piece of crocheted work like this when there's an exposed foundation row. The other thing that putting a single crochet row around the foundation row does is that it kind of strengthens it. It gives it a bit more firmness, and it makes it a little stronger to withstand whatever you're going to put your hat through, or your headband in this case. So I'm just going to go ahead and quickly sew single crochet a row all the way around the underside or the bottom of this, just to firm it up and finish it off nicely. Alright, I went ahead, I put on that final row of single crochet all along the bottom just to sort of even it out and make it a little neater. I weaved in my 2 little ends, and there is my very simple headband. Now we're going to make the ears. The ears are very, very simple. They are 2 triangles, one in black, one in pink, sewn together, and then we're just going to go ahead and sew them on top of our headband. And this is how we make the first triangle. We're going to start with the outside of the ear, so the black part. You're going to create a slip knot. You're going to chain 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And I'm just going to neaten things up here. You're going to half double crochet in the 3rd chain back from the hook. So we half double crochet in the 3rd chain back from the hook, and in each one across. And that will give you 9 half double crochets once you reach the end of this little row, plus the chain 2 stitch. And once again, we're not really going to count the chain 2. It's just sort of filler on the end of the row, and it's very it's not really important because we're just going to end up single crocheting over top of it later anyway. Now once you have half double crocheted back across your foundation row, you're going to chain only 1, so chain 1, turn your work, and you're going to half double crochet the first 2 stitches together. So you're going to wrap your yarn around your hook, insert your hook in the very first stitch, bring up a loop, and then you're going to bring up a loop in the 2nd stitch. So you're going to have 4 loops on your hook. Just wrap, go through all 4 loops. Then you're going to half double crochet in each of the next, I guess it would be 5 stitches, until you get to the last 2, and you're going to half double crochet them together as well. Now remember, you're not going to count the chain 2, so you're just going to half double crochet together the 2 true half double crochets at the end of that row. And then you're going to chain 1, and you're going to do it again. You're going to half double crochet the first 2 stitches together. You're going to half double crochet into the next 3, and then you're going to half double crochet the last 2 true stitches together, ignoring that chain 2 on the end. You're going to chain 1, flip your work, do it again, half double crochet the first 2 stitches together, half double crochet in the next stitch, and half double crochet the last 2 true stitches together. And that gives you a final total of 3 stitches. You're going to chain 1, turn 1 last time, and you're going to half double crochet the last 3 stitches together. So you're going to wrap, pull up a loop in the first stitch, pull up a loop in the next stitch, and pull up a loop in the last stitch. That gives you 5 loops on your hook. Wrap your yarn, pull it through all 5, and there's a triangle. Now we're not finished yet. We're going to chain 1, and just to neaten it up, because I do like to do that with things, we're going to single crochet all the way around the entire edge of the ear. So kind of try to put 1 single crochet in the end of each of the rows that you built on the way up. Once you get to the corner, put a single crochet in the corner, chain 1, turn so that the bottom of the ear is facing up, single crochet into the same corner stitch, and then single crochet across the bottom. I like to work over the little tail as I go. And you're going to notice that your ear is sort of starting to close in a little bit, like it's getting kind of tight, and that's okay because you want it to be a little on the squishy side, or the like the cinchy side. Once you get to the next corner, chain 1, turn so that the last side is now your working side. Put a single crochet in that same corner stitch, and then work up the other side of the ear. Try to get 1 single crochet into the end of each of those rows. The idea here is to neaten up the edges, make it look a little better. Now once you get back to the top, you're going to single crochet in that last top stitch, if you can. It does get a little tricky here. And you're going to chain 1, and then you're just going to slip stitch into the stitch to the immediate left of it, or right if you're left-handed and you're going the other way. And that's it. That's just to create a little tiny point at the top there. And then you're going to snip your yarn and fasten off. And that is the outside of your little ear. Now for the pink inner ear, you're going to take your pink, or whatever color you're making your inner ear. I like pink. And you're going to do pretty much the exact same pattern, except you're going to start it with fewer chains. So we're going to start with a slip knot, and instead of chaining 11 like we did for the ear outer, we're going to chain 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You're going to half double crochet into the 3rd chain from the hook, and you're going to half double crochet in each of those chains all the way back to the first one. You'll have a total of 7 half double crochets and 1 chain 2 on the end. And we're going to treat the chain 2 like we did in the last thing, the outer ear. We're going to kind of ignore it. You're going to chain 1, turn your work, and you're going to half double crochet the first 2 stitches together. So you wrap, go through the first stitch and pull up a loop, go through the second stitch and pull up a loop, wrap, and go through all 4 of those loops on your hook. Half double crochet into the next 3, half double crochet the last 2 stitches together, and that's the last 2 true half double crochets, not the chain 2 on the end. You can just ignore it. Chain 1, turn, half double crochet the first 2 stitches together, half double crochet into the middle stitch, and half double crochet the last 2 true stitches together, chain 1, and you're at the top, the last 3 stitches, so you're going to half double crochet all 3 of those stitches together. Remember, you're going to end up with 5 loops on your hook. Wrap, go through all 5. Now we're going to do just the same thing we did with the black outer ear. We're going to chain one, and we're going to single crochet all the way around the outside of the little ear. Put a single crochet in the top, the ends, or the last corner, chain one, and then just slip stitch it into that first stitch you made, just so you get a nice little point, just like that. Now you want to fasten off, leaving a long tail of yarn, because it's this yarn you're going to sew the inner ear to the outer ear with. So you cut a long tail and pull it all the way back through that loop, and there you go. Now we take our outer ear and we take our inner ear and we kind of push them backwards, so peel them back, that little funny thing that happened when you were single crocheting around the edges that turned it, like pulled it inward. Just sort of push it backwards and spread the inner ear over top of the outer ear. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to pay more attention to lining up the bottom, like the bottom edge of your ear, the inner ear, with the bottom edge of your outer ear. And you're going to find that it's obviously a lot smaller. It should be about a whole row smaller than your outer ear. And you're just going to pick up the stitches. So pick up the sides of the stitches, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. I'm just going to thread up my yarn needle here. So I'm going to keep this pretty close to the edge, and I'm going to pick up the inside of a stitch. So notice you don't see my needle on the back of the ear, because you don't want the pink yarn to show through to the back of the ear. So you're just going to pick up a part of the stitch on top, and you're just going to sew your ear together using the pickup bits across the tops of these stitches. And I'm going to do it again. And so that's 2 stitches I put in. And here's a third one. And you'll notice when I flip the ear over, you don't see any pink. So that's what you want to do. You want to just sew your inner ear inside the middle of your outer ear, all the way around. And I will see you once you've finished your little sewing job. So I'm just coming around the last edge, and I'm putting in my last few stitches here. And I'm going to take care to just put a few extra stitches at the top, just so that my point is somewhat accentuated. And normally I wouldn't use a lot of black yarn when I'm making a tutorial, just because it's kind of tricky to see, but I think under the circumstances you'll forgive me. Alright, and that, once you sort of push it back into place, becomes this cute little, naturally folding ear. So you just want to knot off your work anywhere you feel it looks sort of subtle. You don't want too big a knot. And you can work your tail back inside your ear, just sort of like weave it in a few places, just so you don't end up wasting too much of your yarn. Plus a little bit of extra padding is never a bad thing. There we go. And you can just snip that up. Now, I have one little tail left. I'm just going to weave this in across the back here. There we go. Now, I've got 2 ears. Now all I have to do is decide where on my headband I'm going to put them. So there's my seam. My seam, a little tricky to see. In fact, you may not be able to see it all, but that's probably a good thing. I can see my seam. I want my seam to be the bottom back. So I'm going to fold it in half with the seam sort of against the middle, and I'm going to equally space my 2 ears on either side of of that middle spot. And if it's too difficult to see, you can also just sort of like mark it with a needle or a safety pin, just to give you an idea of where your center is. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I've marked sort of the center so that I can keep reference to it. I'm going to put them just off to the side on either side. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to slightly curve them. So slightly curve my ears. And I'm going to sew through the bottom of the ear, right through the bottom of the hatband, and back up again, just to kind of get this little curved sort of action going. And you can anchor your yarn anywhere you want. I'm going to anchor it across the bottom. I'm going to actually just leave a tail and then knot the two pieces together. And all you're going to do is just sew that ear down to the top of your headband. Okay, there you can see I've already sewn on the first ear, and I've put it kind of closer to the back. So maybe so not directly through the middle, but just sort of slightly behind the middle line. So maybe like if you were counting rows 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I've put it across row 5, and row 6 sits just after it, because I think I like the way that looks on my head. Remember, you want to try your hatband on and you want to sit your ears on it in a couple of different ways to sort of decide how you want them positioned, how far apart you want them, and how much of a curve you want to put on them. So there's my first ear on, and now I'm going to sew on the second one. Alright, so I'm just finishing up with the last few stitches on my ear. And I really didn't do anything super special or fancy here. I just sewed sort of like a whip stitch all the way through the ear, and then back again. And I'm just going to knot my two ends together. And then I'm going to weave them both in, just to sort of finish everything off. But other than that, so I'm going to weave in these little ends here. There is my cat hatband. Meow. Meow, meow, meow. Easy, very easy peasy. So please let me know down below if you enjoyed this tutorial and if you're going to make a set yourself, and if you'd like to see any other kind of ears on a headband, please let me know, because I'd be happy to oblige. Please like and subscribe, share with your friends, and stay tuned for more fun with Jayda InStitches. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye. Wow.